So what's going in between these breaks?
Right now, nothing. There's a little stinger.
A little stinger?
Little stinger music.
But stinger. I thought he said a little singer.
No, there's a little stinger music thing.
Like, what's the little stinger going to do?
Welcome to our home, the only podcast that I know of where if you want to be a podcast producer on our show, the main qualification is an extensive background in childcare. We don't need anybody to run the cameras or the mics. We just need someone to put the baby to sleep. We're
Back
2
to
for
sleep.
2. We're 2
I'm
for 2.
very efficient at putting the baby to sleep.
Oh, of course.
We just sometimes need help.
She wants to be a star on this show, and every time we sit down to record, she lets us know from the top of the stairs that she wants to be included, and we keep saying, no, back to sleep.
She's offended.
But anyways, we are happy to be back. It's our second week. I am really excited about what we have going on this week. We're gonna have some fun this week. I'm really looking forward to some of the stuff that we have planned on this show today. We have a quick question. We have Steffanie Reacts, and we have Reddit Court Work from Home edition. Really, the entire episode is going to be work from home themed.
What was that word you said after Reddit?
Court.
Court. Okay.
Reddit Court.
Okay.
You know, you're going to be the judge. I'll be the jury.
Okay.
They can be the onlookers. I don't know. Maybe you're the jury and then we're the judge.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you're the judge. I don't know who's who in this scenario, but
Okay.
Reddit Court, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to see some people's somewhat unpopular opinions on Reddit and about working from home specifically, and see what we think about them. If they've proved to be true for our family, if they're challenges that we've overcome, if we've figured this out in a different way than maybe that they're coming at it. But anyways, that'll be fun. I want to start, though, with a quick question today. What has been the biggest impact for you, especially, about working from home? When we made that switch, and I'll tell the backstory in a minute, but when we made the switch to working from home, and that was like our family commitment, what do you think has been the biggest impact of that?
You being around our kids as much as you've been. You have been such a huge part of their lives, and growing up, like, you didn't miss the little years from any of them. And you when you would do your trips for Africa and you'd be gone for 2.5 weeks or whatever. And I could see from a young age, like, they miss their dad. And so that's always been a huge thing to me, is just being like, you get to be around throughout the day.
And that was the whole point. If you look at statistics of children that perform better in school, children that grow up to be successful, the main common denominator is a father who was present. And they're looking at statistics of fathers who aren't even in the home at all. And so I'm just taking that a step further and going, wouldn't a father who is more present have better effects on kids, right? Like, whether you like the stat or not, that is the stat, that it falls on the dads in the home to be that kind of like stabilizing force for the family and give children an opportunity to thrive in whatever environment that they're at. And so that was one of the motivating factors for us. I think the other motivating factor for me was I wanted to be around. You know, it was like when we made this decision, we had our twins in the hospital because they had to be C-section, and we chose a hospital because it was smaller. We could get to know the doctor a little bit better. We were referred
Our
over there.
midwife had a good relationship with the surgeon.
Right. Yeah,
So.
and it wasn't like a big hospital, so like we felt like we were going to get better
And
care
excellent
there.
excellent hair.
Excellent hair care at this hospital. We're not letting anything go on this show.
Excellent care.
Yeah, well, that's about
Don't
how
remember the
you
hair
were
care.
after the surgery, too. You were just like, excellent hair care in the hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
Where am I? I don't know. Which was why it was
Babies,
so
yay.
frustrating, because the hospital that we chose was about 45 minutes away from where we lived.
And you didn't get paternity leave.
I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
The day that our twins were born, I called into work and told them that I didn't want to come, and they said they didn't have coverage. And so I had to drive to my job multiple times.
I don't even remember that because I was so out that first day.
I slept in the hospital at night. They didn't have a bed for me, so I slept on 2 chairs.
It was a recliner chair. Oh, was it 2 chairs?
No, it was 2 chairs I pushed together.
Okay.
And I curled up in a ball. So I wasn't getting great sleep anyways, right? And then, of course, I'm waking up and helping with the babies and things like that. So I'm not getting great sleep. Waking up early because they were telling me when I had to come in for work. So I was waking up early, driving the 45 minutes to work, knowing that you're in the hospital half out of your mind. And thankfully, we had family close by, and they were there to help. But it was killing me.
They still had to drive.
To not be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was kind of the start of it. And then I worked at that job for another long time. I didn't quit that job until the following year. But I worked there, and the inability to get to tell them when I was going to be home. You know, I didn't have the option to say, I'm going to be home today. They told me.
They were kind of running your life. Yeah.
And I hated that. And if that works for some people, great. Like if they love the constants of having someone tell them you're going to be here at this time, and that type of structure works for you.
Some people thrive in different kinds of environments, right? But
that's not me. And so I absolutely hated it. And I kind of made a decision, even though financially we couldn't swing it. It was one of those it wasn't I'm going to transition into a business that's doing well, and I'm going to throw all of my effort and energy into this business.
And took a and
we had no money, and we couldn't afford our apartment, and that's said,
why we moved.
It was a part-time job, so it wasn't like it was a lot of money in the first place, but it was still some. I was making a little bit working for my family on some marketing stuff, and I said, I'm just going to figure it out. I have to be home. I have to watch these babies grow up. We're not planning to stop here, and we didn't. We had 4 more after them, and so it's I want to be present for all of those moments. And anytime that something would happen when I was at work, a developmental leap of some kind, or they would start rolling or something, it was killing me to not be there watching that happen. And so I just kind of said, it doesn't matter to me how we have to live, as long as I can provide for us in some way. We don't have to be wealthy. I just have to be home, and I'm going to figure that out. Yeah. We can, when the kids are all grown and out of the house, we can work our butts off if we need to.
I want to add this too. So it's something that we both are really passionate about. So it was never, because I'm sure some people are would freak out, you're going to quit your job and then you're not going to have extra income. And so I feel like that's another aspect of our life where, our faith has always been strong that God would provide, and He has done that over and over again for our family. We choose to be faithful with what we think He has put, on our hearts and what we want the best for our family, and so we choose to be faithful there and trust Him. And then I've just always trusted you. There's definitely been seasons where it's been crazier, but that was not. It wasn't I was on the same page with you.
Yeah. I mean, we've gone through tons of roller coaster ups and downs, from moving to Texas and living in a fifth wheel behind a church. We weren't making hardly any money then, but probably some of the happiest times that we had, because again, we were all together. We lived really simply, and we made it work. We had everything that we needed. And I think a lot of times families, especially in the early years, will sacrifice some of that peace and happiness and joy that comes from the simple living, chasing the illusion of, I have to give my kids the best of everything. Right.
Their idea of best is that they have to work harder to give their kids something, where the most important thing we can give our kids is ourselves, is our time.
Yeah. Particularly when they're young.
Yeah. I think any age, but they're older. As you get older, there's more independence.
Relationships the bonds are built when they're young. Yeah. And so if you have spent a good amount of time with them when they're young, the transition to older works a lot better than the other way around.
Right. A lot of people have it backwards. You're okay, I'm going to do this while they're young, and, they're not really, it's we think that it doesn't impact our kids if we're not there when they're young. And that's like when the relationship is really formed. Not that God can't work, later on, and that there can't still be great relationships later, but the framework can start when they're young. And yeah.
This may come across more braggy than I want it to, but it is when I think about how has working from home changed our family the most. I mean, if you look at where we're at, our oldest kids are 10 right now. So like we haven't fully proven this concept out. And so what do we have? We have measurements that we can go by. So I think the most significant measurement is the behavior of our children as told to us by anybody who watches them, whether they're family related to us or people that know us from church, or anybody who has spent time around our kids always talks about how well behaved they are. And it isn't because we're extremely strict. I think the majority of their behavior patterns come from there's incredible stability in their home. Our days are different every single day. We talked about that last episode. But what is always the same is you and I are both here, and we're always investing in them, and we're always spending quality time together. And that pays dividends even, again, 10 years in.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine when we get 16, 18, 20-year-olds. I mean, I guess we sort of proved the concept out by, that was how my family was.
Right. My family
worked from home.
Right.
But,
right. Well, and our family wasn't as crazy as you guys.
Sure.
But everybody was always teasing us, like, you guys are always together. Like, we were like this weird phenomenon in our churches and communities and things, because they were like, oh, that's the dad family. Like, they're always just together. But we had great relationships with each other.
And we avoided the dreaded teenage years that everybody was always
like. I'm always talking to my parents because I see so many people be like, the teenage years are so hard, or like as your kids get to adults, like it just gets harder and harder. And there is definitely true that parenting keeps taking more from you. Like parenting doesn't necessarily get easier because the problems get like bigger or more complicated. But like I have great memories of my teenage years with my parents, not that there weren't ever any bumps or whatever, but like there was connection, and I valued being with my parents, and that relationship was strong. So I think having that to kind of be like, we're rejecting this idea that we can't have good relationships with our kids for the however many years, we have with them as teenagers.
Definitely. I really do believe that the primary reason why the teenage years exist, because obviously we're going through changes. There's boundaries that are being created because you're becoming your own independent adult. But I think the only reason that those tensions exist is because up to that point, you have either been in a boss-employee relationship or you've been in a roommate's relationship. You haven't been in a parenting-child relationship where you're being friends and you have a bond that is stronger than those disagreements, and you don't know how to work through, just like grown adults today when we watch them handling conflict. They don't know how to work through conflict with each other because they haven't spent the time to build the relationship. And so I'm confident that when our children get older, we're going to have bumpy patches, but I think we'll be able to navigate those bumpy patches better because we have a relationship.
Right, we have a relationship. Obviously, like, getting through motherhood and parenting, like I need the strength of the Lord and I need his wisdom. And so humbly saying like, I need those things, but I'm also confident that he's going to give us what we need, just like he has in the past, to keep building strong relationships with our kids and helping us through the new things that come up.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with another segment. We are back, and we're going to do some Would You Rathers.
Okay.
This is going to be fun. We did a little bit of this with the kids tonight. We didn't do these questions, but it's always, to me, it's always fun to do this with our kids, especially as they get a little older. I tried it when they were younger. They didn't really get it. They would be like, I don't want either of those. Yeah. It's like, though, that's the point. Like it's forcing you to have to make a decision. But we did some of that with them tonight and had a good time. But this is one, I just came up with these off the top of my head, and I tried not to put too much personal thought into it ahead of time so that I wouldn't have like a advantage over you. But I will let you go first on this one. If you had to pick, you only get to use your phone or you only get to use a computer. Because right now, your computer can basically do everything your phone can do, and your phone can basically do everything your computer could do. The difference, obviously, is form and size. And so, like, you have to pick one. I think our answers are going to be different, just because
I think
of
they will
how
be
we
too.
use
Yeah,
things.
like I think mine would be my phone because I use it for everything. Like
You do.
I know.
It's insane.
Yeah.
When you were writing a blog, you were blogging from your phone.
Yeah.
Without like a key, like I tried to do that from a phone, but I was still using like a wireless keyboard. You're just like typing with your thumbs,
Yeah,
a whole
I
blog
did.
post, and I'm like, oh
rocking
my
it,
goodness,
bouncing a baby and typing with my thumbs. Yeah. So I have like used the laptop way more with school, and that's become like a really valuable. Like sometimes you'll go do some stuff, and I'm like, oh, I don't have the laptop now. Like I forgot about that. And so I can still do some school stuff with my phone, but it is harder. So that is one aspect is like I would miss that, but I pretty much use my phone for everything.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think it would be healthier for me if I only said computer.
yeah, probably.
Like for me, I could do everything I need to do on my computer, and I probably should be on my phone less. If I wanted to like have it be mobile inside the house, there's wireless headphones.
Yeah.
You know, like there are ways to make a computer. I can call from my computer. I can do everything that I need to do from my computer and still be mobile walking around
It's
the house.
also though, like I feel like sometimes the different things that you do, you would have to be like up and down the stairs multiple times a day to checking
sure.
things.
I mean, I check too many things, but that's part of my point is
Yeah.
I think that maybe I could form better habits
Okay.
if it wasn't always accessible. But there's certain things that just still to this day on the phone drive me nuts. Typing is one of them. Like I have to have a keyboard. I have to have this if I'm going to write anything of substance.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
It's funny because like I journal most days, you know. Like,
I know you're every
my
day
thumbs.
you're doing everything. You got
I
really
got strong thumbs.
You got
But you know what? I've always been
muscle
told that
building.
because of like setting, you have to have strong thumbs. So
You little
have-
thumb workouts. Like,
I do.
You do your own thumb wars with yourself.
That's like impossible. You can't do a thumb war with yourself.
I mean, you could probably figure it out. You got a little tiny dumbbell you're lifting. All right, so here's a really good one. So you have to either do a push-up every time a kid asks you a question.
Oh my gosh.
Or you can never be able to say the word no. Now, caveat on this, you can say no, you just can't use the word no. So you have to say it in a creative way. You have to come up with a different way to say no. So like
It's
you'd have
funny.
to say noopity-doo.
It's funny because I feel like already as a mom, I try to get creative with not saying no because I don't want to. There are some things that I get asked a million questions. I'm not doing the push-up one because I would die.
You have to take the other one. You have to.
the other one.
I mean, the reason we do this at night at 10 o'clock is because every 30 seconds, the rest of the day, there's a question being asked. Especially now that we have a 3-year-old. She just asked the same question 4 times in a row because that's what 3-year-olds do,
They
right?
ask questions. Yeah.
So, yeah, you can't do the question one. You just
I would
can't.
die. But it's kind of funny. I'm getting creative with saying
stronger, though.
no. I would.
Your biceps would match your thumbs. Just like be ripped. Why are you so ripped just right here?
Just be like,
My kids are always asking me questions. Don't ask. All right, so here's one, and this one I think is gonna cause some disagreement here too. Would you rather clone yourself or be able to move at double speed? Which one do you think you'd get more done with? If you actually had a replicated version of yourself, or if you could move twice as
I
fast?
feel like if I had a cloned version of myself, I would be jealous of that clone whenever they were doing like.
You
I'd be
would
like-
too.
I would like. I want to be reading to my kids. I want to be the one making dinner.
No, you get to be with your kids. You make the clone do all the
Do all the
bad
work,
stuff.
but then sometimes it'd be like, man, I want the piece of being able to like go clean something right now. It's like the fact that my kids would have access to like 2 of me. I think I'd rather be able to do everything in double time.
I think I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know
Probably
for
a
sure
clone.
that
I think I'd probably pick a clone. That makes
Steffanie
more
moving
sense.
at double time. I'm trying to imagine this in my head.
It'd be like normal time.
So
for other
there's
people.
I wasn't gonna go that far, but there is
I
definitely
can
an
move
inside
fast. Do you
family
remember when we
joke.
packed? We moved, and you were like, "Wow, you packed those boxes like
that's
so
the- that's
fast."
the
I'm
thing.
efficient.
You don't move slow.
Sometimes.
It's like you're methodical.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that you moving at double speed takes away the methodicalness of how you're just like, you think about it and then you do it really fast. And then you think about it and you do it really
Yeah, I
fast.
probably need a clone.
Of course, this is the same woman, and I knew I was going to sneak this in here sometime. I told you I was going to. This is the same woman whose definition of making muffins is me coming downstairs. She's mixing up the muffins. She's like, I'm making muffins.
Double
I'm
batch.
like, oh, you're making muffins? That sounds nice. And then she's like, yeah, I'm going to put it all in the fridge, and you can cook them in the morning. I'm like, thought you were making muffins. And she's like, no, I'm just going to save you some time by mixing it all up. It's like, yeah, but then I got to fill the cups painstakingly, slowly. Like, who's making the muffins here?
Got to work your thumb out somehow.
I don't know that I used my thumb. But anyway, so I told her I wasn't going to make muffins. But of course, the last 2 mornings, I made the muffins because I'm a sucker. All right. You're not going to like this one.
Why'd you write it down then?
Because I wanted to see how you would react to it.
Well, that segment's not till later.
It's making me fun. It's a good segue into this. How does Steffanie react to this would you rather question?
Okay.
All right. So you have to pet a tarantula once and all spiders cease to exist.
Okay.
Or you have to kill one spider every day at a random time.
I'm petting the tarantula.
Are you really? I didn't think you were going to do that.
Yes.
Oh, you've grown so much.
I would. Well, I mean, so like, I don't know, the idea of like, okay, this is it's really hard to imagine doing it like a really big fuzzy
It's a big one.
tarantula.
It's a big fuzzy one. Here's
Do I have to hold it?
It's right here.
Can I just
you gotta pet it. You have to do one long pet.
Okay. But then I get rid of
and all the spiders cease to exist.
Okay.
And so you like finish petting him, he goes poof. Him and all the other spiders. You gotta muster. It's like Fear Factor. You gotta muster up enough courage to just pet the one time. I'm definitely doing that because I'm not super bothered by tarantulas or spiders for that matter.
Well, they don't fall on you.
They must know.
They always fall on me.
They must know. I don't know. Do spiders have like a this person doesn't like me radar? I always tell you.
In fact, it has happened. Okay, twice that I can think of where I'm like, I saw this spider earlier today and I know it's going to come back and follow me later. And it does. It comes back. They haunt me.
Well, for you, how spiders are is how mice and rats are for me. And you've never had one of those jump at your head.
That's true. Well, that was like a demon rat.
Oh, okay, so we have to tell this story now because this is the worst several months of my life. So it was in the middle of a good part of my life. We were in that Texas place we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. We were having it was all happy. I got like a nice little office inside the church and our house was right outside. So like I was working from home, but I had my own space.
It was like what, winter in Texas? Anyway,
I don't remember. No, it was like springtime because I remember my uncle was talking about how sometimes inside the church they'd get little field mice because it's springtime and they're looking for a place to, he said, have babies, and that's an unsettling thought. That they're looking for a place to have babies and they might come in the church and have all their babies. Anyways, so when I started seeing little droppings everywhere in my office, I was like, oh, it must be those field mice. And so I did what anybody would do and went and got some traps and put them in my office. Well, after about a week, nothing was in my trap, and there were still droppings every single day. Every day, I'm coming into my office. I had my computer and everything set up, and I would have to, off of my keyboard, clean.
I remember you telling me that. That's so gross.
And it was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And it was. I remember at one point I even put a camera in there and tried to record overnight just to see if I could. It didn't record more than 30 minutes, so it ran out before I could see anything. But yeah, I was trying anything. I was like, how do I figure out why is this not I tried all these different baits and stuff. I got a bunch of different kind of traps. I got the snap ones and I got the ones you walk in, and there's nothing. I left them around. I was leaving them all these random places in the church. Because maybe it's not just in my office. Maybe it's everywhere else. Well, so I walk in my office one day, and I look under a chair that I had there. And I liked to, putt golf balls in between working. That's one of my ways of releasing is on the carpet. I would just putt golf balls to the edge of the wall, and then I would go back to work. Well, one of my golf balls went up under a chair, and I hadn't seen it there. And so I lifted something up while I was vacuuming, and I saw under the chair, and there was half of a golf ball. And I was like,
it just blows my mind.
This is not a mouse.
my golf ball.
This is way more than a mouse. Well, and so also before the golf ball, I had been seeing little candy wrappers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because it was right. This is why I know it's springtime. It was right around Easter. After Easter, we had a ton of extra Easter eggs, and I just knew that our boys, when they would come to play in the church, were going and finding those Easter eggs, eating the candy, and leaving them around. And I was getting mad at them. I was like, boys, stop eating candy out of the Easter eggs. And sometimes they would tell me that they didn't. Sometimes I think that they actually did. So they were like, oh, he found out about the thing that I did 3 days ago. But I kept finding them everywhere. And then I started finding crushed up Easter egg shells. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until I saw the golf ball. But I was like, why are they like breaking the egg that way? Like you could just open it to get the candy out. You don't have to like stomp on it and get the candy out. And then I found the golf ball. I was like, oh, so the boys probably aren't eating the candy either. It's probably like this giant mouse king is eating golf balls and Easter eggs and candy. And so anyways, I walk into the church one night. And is a long hallway, and then you get to the end of the hallway, and it's the fellowship hall where you've got a bunch of tables and stuff, and then right against the wall is these 2 fridges. As soon as you round the corner, there's 2 fridges, and then behind the fridges is the light switch. So I'm walking back there. It's pitch black. All of this hallway, this really long hallway. I get to the end of the hallway. I go to flip the lights on, and the moment that I flip the lights on, the biggest rat I have ever seen jumps off of the top of one of the fridges, literally 6 inches from my face, jumps off of the fridge onto the floor. My heart just like absolutely goes into my feet. I was so startled by this rat. I was like, well, because you don't expect. I've been in that church every day for the last year, multiple times. I don't even think anything. I'm the only one there. Like nobody else is there. There's not supposed to be something jumping in my face 6 inches. Like it was so scary. And so like then I went to go like, okay, I see it. Now I've got to run real quick and go find like a trash can or something to trap this rat because he's massive. He's just like and at first I thought, well, maybe I was imagining it because like how traumatic that experience was. Maybe like I added 4 or 5 feet to this rat. But later on I would find out, no, he was just huge.
He was huge.
But anyways, I went to go find something. And then when I came back, he was gone. I couldn't find him again. It's not a big church. Like I looked around. I didn't look that hard because I didn't want him to jump back out at me again. But he wasn't in any of the open spaces. And I was like, oh, no. So now I know that there's a giant rat. And that's been doing everything. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I went and got the biggest mouse trap that I could find, this big old giant rat trap. I set it in my office. The night that I set it, I'm on the phone with my best friend. And I'm talking to him about 30 minutes in. I'm recounting this story to him. And I'm in the sanctuary just doing laps because I can't not walk when I'm on the phone. So I'm doing laps in the sanctuary, talking to my best friend on the phone, and I hear the snap. And I went, oh, I got the rat. And I told him, like, stay on the phone, and I'm going to, like, go see my prize. So I walk in, and I'm not kidding. This rat... You know how big rat traps are. They're like this, right? So like this rat, about 1/4 of his body is on the part where he got snapped. And then he's off of the trap. And then his tail is about as long as he is. And it's just like, I'm just overwhelmed by the size of this rat. So overwhelmed, in fact, that I don't know how I'm going to like get him off the trap. Like, you can't lift the trap up. He's too heavy and too big. And so like, I went and got a paper plate. And I grabbed one end of the mouse trap and I shoved the paper plate under the other part of the rat. And then I went out to the woods and just chucked the whole thing in the woods. And I'm like, I'm not even retrieving that trap. It can decompose naturally. There'll be some metal in the woods. It'll be okay. It's Texas.
I'm just bummed that you didn't get a picture of it because
I don't remember if I did get a picture of it.
You
okay,
didn't.
so I was
you
so
were just
traumatized.
Like, I know
by
you were
this
just
rat.
like, this rat has got to go.
So, anyways, to finish the story. A couple more months go by, and all this time, about 4 or 5 months before, somebody had come and donated these speakers. They're giant speakers, about as tall as I am, and I don't even think they worked, but they wanted to see if the church could use them, see if they worked or whatever. They stuck them in my office. That's the only place that had any open space. So somebody finally comes to take these things away. And we tip it down. And when we tip it down, out pours a lot of candy wrappings and crushed up Easter eggs. And the mystery is finally solved that this rat was imported to my office by this generous-hearted soul who donated non-functioning speakers who had been in a barn, I guess, for who knows how long. And this rat, who had been living in these speakers, came into my office and just decided to make him an Easter egg nest and then come out at night and poop all over my stuff until the day that I avenged myself. And I am still traumatized. So I would pet a tarantula to get rid of all rats. To bring it back to our would you rather.
Would you pet a rat to get rid of all rats?
You flipped it on me. I don't know that I could do it. I know some people are like, they like have pet rats, and you know there's the whole movie about it, Ratatouille, which is a fun movie. But like thinking about a rat under my hat, in my hair, pulling my hair, I don't care if the rat can talk. That's creepy, man. I don't know. I'm siding with the chef on this one.
Rats have got to go.
He's got to get out of the kitchen. I don't know if I could. I think I would just take my chances and risk it. But if you actually made this a question of pet a rat once and all rats cease to exist, or you have to kill one every day, to me that's unfair now, because like I can kill a spider every day. They're little, but like killing a rat, like that's a serious business. I gotta kill a rat every day. Like what? I got an axe? Just walk around like with a sledgehammer? When's that? What are you doing? I'm waiting for the rat. Every
Your
day
life, like,
at
totally
a random
changes.
time, there's gonna be a rat. I just know it. All right, I think we should move on. We'll have one more segment. We're going to Steffanie Reacts after this break. All right, we are back, and we're going to try something new. I thought of this after last episode, partly because one of my favorite things to do with you is show you things that I find funny, because you find everything funny. If it is actually funny, you find it funny. Yeah. But like, I remember like one of my most endearing memories of you is when we were first married in our new apartment. We had nothing except a TV that was propped up against boxes. And we brought your sister and brother-in-law over to sit on our floor eating pizza, and we watched the Ice Age movie. And you just laughed at the whole movie. I laughed, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. There was a few really funny moments in that Ice Age movie. You were laughing at everything. And it just was like, even to this day, you laugh at the kids' movies at the same parts that the kids laugh at. And I love that about you. You just have this like childlike heart. But I was like, how do I share that reaction with the world? I was like, this is the way. I'm going to show you some of my favorite Reels and TikTok videos, because you don't watch a lot of those, and so I have a really good chance, if I haven't shown it to you, that you haven't seen it before. So
I love the. I was just thinking about the one you showed me with the ceiling fan and the bottle.
Oh my goodness! Yes,
I love
that one. I would have shown that one to you in this. That's the kind of video that we're gonna watch.
Okay.
But this first one is the one that I was looking for the other day.
Okay.
And I couldn't find it, but this is what I think of when you start telling me like you're overwhelmed and you start telling me your list and things like that. It's this person. And so we're going to watch this video and watch your reaction to it.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm overwhelmed. Tried to sleep in this morning, but the kids destroyed the front room. So now I have to clean it up. So then I started to clean up the front room. But then I realized I'm starving and I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm so hungry. So then I'm gonna make me something to eat. But I can't make me something to eat because the pan that I use is dirty. So I'm gonna load the dishwasher. Oh, can't load the dishwasher because they're all clean, so I gotta put them away. So then I start to put the dishes away. And the dog keeps getting in my way. But then I realized all the snacks from our road trip are still sitting on the counter. So then I'm gonna put those away. I can't put them away in our cabinet because nothing will fit, so I'm gonna reorganize it. And then I realized, well, while I'm reorganizing the cabinet, I should probably do the laundry so that I can multitask duties. Oh, can't start laundry because I don't have laundry soap. So then I need to make some laundry soap. While I'm over here, I realized my pan is still dirty, the pan that I need to make food, and I'm starving. And all I want is bacon.
All I want is bacon.
Why does your shirt say ranch?
Because I love ranch. And we don't even have bacon.
Want me to run and get some bacon?
Yes, please.
So I just think of you so much because like you'll go whole days sometimes and like, Steffanie, did you have lunch? No. Why didn't you have lunch? Because I was doing this and this and then I did this and then I did. So it's just like
a smoothie.
It's so you. It's amazing. Ah, man, I knew you would enjoy that. So this one is not as funny, but it is really cool. And so I wanted to show you this. This one just surprised me. And I didn't know what to expect when I first started watching it. And I think you'll get it when we...
I'd buy a flip-flop with a hot dog on it from you. I'd buy a flip-flop.
Isn't that impressive?
That's cool. That's cool.
So impressive to me.
Yeah, that was cool how they like flipped it and it was like super well produced and
I
like,
know, like that's what she does. I'm guessing, like that's the first thing I've seen of her, and I was like watching this, going, I don't get it. And then they showed like what she was doing. I was like, oh, that looks amazing. I would buy a hot dog on a flip flop from you too.
Right? Yeah, please.
Someone's really good at marketing.
Yeah.
You might have seen this one. I don't know.
Okay.
Have you seen this one?
I don't know.
Okay, it's really short,
Doesn't look
but
familiar.
it cracks me up. we gotta watch this one again. Yeah, see, I knew you could just loop that all day. I knew that would be your reaction to that. You could just loop that.
That's great. Okay, I like that.
This is amazing. Yes. That's I don't know that I've seen you do that particular exercise, but that is definitely hilarious when you think about like what's going on with the baby when you're doing
Yeah, like does the baby feel like that? I don't know.
What are you doing to me?
That's hilarious.
What's going on out there? Somebody get some sense. All right, so this is one that we've shared from this particular couple, the real Indian dad couple.
Oh, yeah.
We love them. These are two that I don't think you've seen. The first one's real short, and the second one reminds me of a story. Okay. So I'll be honest, this one I just wanted to see if you'd get it. So.
Did you know that Brad Pitt had a brother?
No.
His name is Stu.
Yeah? That sounds like he's your brother. Do you think that's gonna work on me?
Did you know that Brad Pitt had a brother?
So yeah, exactly. It's real short, real simple, but he's like, yep. He's always ahead of her, and I love that.
I know. Yeah,
all right, so this reminds me of a story. Let's see if you can
me.
remember this story, and maybe you could tell it.
Okay. Noises he makes is just like you.
I know.
Still going.
She broke him. She broke him. Oh. All right, Steffanie, what story am I thinking of?
Okay. Well, back when I was just starting to like coffee, that video was really funny. Okay.
Great.
Anyways, there was only like one type of coffee that I like to buy that was store-bought. Mm-hmm. And I also just like to sit, well, not really like sit with my coffee, but I like to be somewhere comfy with my coffee. And I decided one morning that would be our bed. Well, Caleb was still sleeping. So I poured my mug full of cold coffee. I don't drink hot coffee. And I go to sit on our bed. And then I don't really remember exactly what happened, but Caleb was definitely asleep.
Oh, I was asleep.
And the kids came back and were jumping, and I was like, oh no, my coffee. And then one thing led to another, and I dumped my coffee on Caleb's head.
All of it. Like,
All of my coffee.
right in my ear. It is the fastest I've ever gotten out of bed in my life.
He was so not happy, and I was just like, I'm so sorry.
I was
This
just
hilarious.
so shocked for a minute. Like, I've never been awakened by like cold water or anything like that. So like coffee in the ear, that was new.
Oh man, it
And
was
this is
so
why
funny.
she's no longer allowed to have drinks in our bed
I still have drinks on the bed.
without a lid on it. I'm putting my foot down somewhere.
You have to have a lid.
No more coffee in my ear.
You would have thought that you would have like bought me a coffee cup after that, but it didn't happen. You didn't like go out. It would have been funny if you like went out and got me like.
I just outlawed coffee.
Yeah, you're like,
I was
no
like,
more on the
no
bed.
more coffee on the bed. No more monkeys jumping on the bed.
It's so
'Cause
funny.
Your lid fell off and bonked me in the head. I called my doctor. He said it's not healthy. Oh my goodness.
That was funny.
Well, we have one more segment. So one more quick break, and we're going to Reddit Court.
Okay.
Court.
Going to court.
Welcome back to our final segment of the day, where we go to a scary place sometimes. Reddit,
Oh, okay.
one of the worst places on the
I
internet.
want to go somewhere scary.
But it is where people still have good conversations
True.
sometimes. And so we're going to look at a few different questions that people ask about work from home, see what their opinions are, and see if we agree. So the first one, this one is an interesting one, and I think that there's some merit potentially here, but I don't know that I completely agree. So this person says, I think using work to socialize is the only realistic way as an adult. Had I been working in an office, I would have interacted with a lot more people. As it stands, I have my core friend group and I meet people at a weekly activity night, but it's always the same people. I think relationships will drop and it'll be measurable. My core friend group is around 7 people, all of whom I met through a guy I worked with. So, is working from home bad for your social life and making friends?
I think it depends on what you want your social life to be, and then how intentional you are with that. You know, if you're the kind of person that just wants, because on the other side of that is like some people have like terrible work environments. Like you don't want to be around all of the people that you work with, but that's your job, so you kind of have to put the good with the bad.
Right.
So I think working from home lets you be like choosier about the people that you want to be around. So
I agree with that, definitely. And I think
you can take advantage of more opportunities. So
I think I might even disagree with his very first statement that it's the only realistic way to make friends. Like,
yeah,
making friends at work, to me, work friends, even though I don't have a ton of experience in the workforce, but just the way that most people talk about their friends from work, with a few exceptions, obviously, you might connect really well with one person, but
Right.
most work friends, to me, seem like they're just acquaintances.
Right.
Like,
Well,
they're
and
just people that you know.
I play volleyball with a couple of people who are friends from work. Like they're,
Sure.
3 people and they're great friends. And so I can understand
it
that
can
can happen for sure. But I don't think it's true that that's the only or the best way that it can happen.
No, because who are the types of people that you're looking to find to be friends with? Usually it's people who share similar value structure to you.
Yeah.
And so the better place, I think, for you to find those people is not at a place that has neutral value, like your workplace, unless you're working at like a nonprofit or something where everybody's like really bought into that.
Or it's interesting,
company
like
vision or
that
whatever.
show, Suits, where it was like their job was their life. So that's a kind of a different aspect.
That's too much.
Like their job was their
They
family.
didn't have friends.
Yeah.
They had no life.
Yeah.
Like they would talk about like going home, like I'm going to go home and do what, like, but they were like 11 o'clock at night.
Right. I'm gonna go
They're going to be
sleep
back
and
up there
come
at
back.
7 and like go back home and like have a social life doing what, like you're never sleeping. So anyways, but that's neither here nor there. I just think for the majority of people, and maybe I'm out of touch, but I think like a better place to look for good friends would be somewhere like your church, because your church already is a group of people who at least align with some of your core values.
Right. Or if you don't go to church, then the people that are the people that you want to be like, or that
Or
you
if
want to be
homeschool,
around,
then
or
maybe a homeschool group. Like,
Right,
I
find
feel like
people
those
that-
places are better to find friends, you know.
Yeah.
But let's just be honest. Making friends as an adult is hard anyways.
Yeah. I know. It's like, you're my friend.
Well,
We got friends in other places, but it's just so different thinking about it because it's like it's different when you're single and it's different when you're a young adult or a teenager versus like being grown, you know, or older. I'm like, wow, what are we? 32? I don't consider us old. But anyways, it's just friendship is different right now.
do we have friends or do we have allies?
Oh,
There's just like,
interesting.
you also have kids? Can we be a support group for each other? Can we just help each other out sometimes? You know, I've had a theory for a while, and maybe it's not true, but I feel like you can really only manage 2 or 3 really good friendships.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can have like lower level friends, and I'm not talking about your family. I think like family is
Right.
like its own tier, but outside of my siblings and my parents who I maintain
Because
really
we're
good
close
relationships
friends
with.
I think part of it is we're close friends with our family and our siblings.
Sure.
And so
That's probably
Yeah.
part of where my bandwidth is going.
Right. So like, so what I have left to be able to invest in, after like you and my children, and then, you know, my immediate family, or that not immediate family, but immediate family.
Your nuclear
I don't know.
former family.
Anyways, yeah. So, I just don't have as much left to give. Like,
Sure.
I want to be there for different friends, and I want to be involved in people that are around me. But yeah, it's definitely different.
So it's not true for us because of our maybe it's just all blessings for us, and
Right.
these people that are talking about this are like they don't have family that they have good relationships with, and they don't go to church, and the only people that they can find is, you know, people at their work, or like he was talking about activity groups. And if that's you, like I'm sorry. I think the majority of our audience that listens to us is more like us,
Right.
And hopefully you have good family relationships, and
So, but
and
even at that,
hopefully you
like
have 2 or 3
involved
really
in a good
friends.
church and a good community. Yeah. Like you're not, like you might see multiple people, you know, throughout your week or schedule different things, but to have like the couple of people that you're really close to,
Yeah.
I don't think you can, it's hard to manage.
Outside of my family, I have 2 current people that I talk to more than once a week. And most people is like once a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Outside of interactions that I have to have, like with my worship team at church or whatever,
Right.
like I see those people more than once a week. But like anything that's not like we're all going to be at the same place at the same time anyways, where I'm having to actually reach out and maintain a friendship, I have 2 of those, and that's it. And I don't know that I could handle 4 or 5. Like
Right.
maybe I could do a third, but that's about it. Like there's
Right.
just it's family, and then those
Right.
2. And so and I think you're similar, although you're especially good friends with some of your family, so that maybe takes even more bandwidth for you. I don't know. So the next one, how much work do you actually get done working from home? So we're gonna have 2 different opinions, because I consider you a work from home. Like you work from home, but we talk about the tension too of the work part of what you do versus what I think is more important, the investment in relationships part that doesn't always get looked at as work. I think it's definitely part of the job, but the work part, like the doing the dishes and like handling the housework and the things that we share in,
or whatever. Yeah.
sure, like whatever you want to lump into that category, I think it can apply to you in that way too. So this is what this says. I am constantly distracted at home. I think you'll find this funny. Maybe the bathroom door squeaks when I get up for a break. Okay, I'll just put some WD-40 on there real quick. Pop down to the garage and the light bulb burns out. Okay, I'll replace that real quick. Bulbs are in the basement. Oh, looks like I need to change the laundry over. Didn't notice that crack before. I should probably use some liquid cement on that. Next thing I know, I'm on the roof checking the shutters. It's kind of like that video we watched a little bit ago. But like,
Yeah.
do you feel like that is more of the challenge, but it's more baked in than what this person is saying? Like, if I had a dedicated place that I could go to, I'd just be more productive because I'd be able to block out those distractions.
For me or for you?
I mean, for both of us, but I mean, you could speak more to you.
Okay.
I'm thinking of like times when you might need to go somewhere and have some
Yeah.
quiet to like
So
get
there's-
something done that's more
right.
work.
So, well, just this past week, I was really needing to like put some more time into some grocery list planning, menu type stuff. And I was trying to get it done like over nap time, and nap time had just kind of been thrown off that day. And the time that I kind of like allotted for that, like in the home, it wasn't panning out. And so you were like, okay, why don't you go take some time and go do that? So that was kind of an example of like, I need to get this done for our family to run smoothly, and it's not going to happen unless somebody kind of gives me that time. So I think being a mom is juggling some, like you're always juggling different things, but then you also like your capacity to be able to do multiple things at a time, or even to figure out the best times to do certain things that grows, and changes with seasons as your 1-year-old grows and develops and gets taller. And so, yeah,
definitely. I think it's something that you train yourself. Like I've worked from home for 10 years now. So
yeah.
I think most people's experience, going to it recently.
Right. Or like, so like there are some times where, like I don't have a specific time that I work out every day, like the days where I work out, exercise. There are some times where I'm like, hey, can I please go downstairs by myself and work out? Like there are some times that when I do that, but a lot of times like I'm fitting my workout in around my kids, and maybe I'll tell my oldest to like, hey, let me know if you hear your sisters, or I'll just, do something that they're occupied and I'm focusing on what I'm doing, but they're around me, there's distractions. I'll get it later. Mommy's doing her exercises.
Right. I had to adapt my morning routine this morning. Same reason,
Yeah.
They got up earlier than I expected them to, and I had to do all of my normal stuff with them around.
I think it makes you
adjust.
It's like, yeah, you adjust. But I think that's actually really beneficial for life, because life is all about like pivoting, like life is all about adjusting.
Well, the way I look at it too is now they're part of it.
Yeah.
I'm demonstrating for them habits that I want them to have that would have been done before they woke up, but now they're part of it. So, and I think the distractions that this person is calling distractions, I've just worked those into my working routine. Like I embrace those and I plan for them, and I'll even, I like to work in what I call sprints.
Yeah.
So 1 or 2 hours where I'm just like trying to get into flow, and then I'll take a break, come play with the kids, help with nap time, do lunch, whatever, go back down, try another sprint. Sometimes I'll get 3 sprints in a day, sometimes I'll get 2, sometimes I only ever get to the 1 because life happens. But to me, it's less about like trying to fit work in around all the other things you need to do at home, and it's more about training yourself to block out what you need to block out for a little while, and then just like embracing life.
Right.
That's the whole point.
I think you do a really good job of that. I think also though, like we try to communicate, and if I know that you've got like some deadlines or you've got some pressing things and you're like, I really need a solid couple of these, like then we can push a lot of other things to the side. Some of the things that would maybe just be more of an ebb and flow, it's like, okay, we're going to like ignore these things and you just go focus on what you need to focus on, so.
I will say probably, and this is the last thing I'll say on this, I think the most frustrating thing about working from home is if I'm in one of those sprints and because I don't always get to this state, but I'm in it.
You're in the flow. You're like in the zone.
Really productive. I'm having a great hour and a half, 2 hours. Sometimes it can stretch to 3, but like I'm just doing it. And then something comes up where I am actually needed, which is not often, but it does happen where it's, now that train of thought gets broken. That can be really frustrating about working from home, where if I had been isolated somewhere, that particular moment would have been capitalized on it. But the flip side of that is, and CK and I were talking about this last week, I don't know that I would have been able to get into that state had I not been in the environment.
Yeah, it's funny because like the kids and I will go on like a trip or something sometimes, and you'll be home by yourself for a couple of days, and you have maybe like one really good productive day, but then the rest of the time you're like, I'm just so bored. Like the house is so empty and quiet. Like
I hate it, and I always have grand plans. I'm always like, I'm gonna get 3 days worth of really intense 8-hour days done. Like I'm just gonna do it. And then it takes me 3 days to adjust to the new normal. Like the house is too quiet. There's nothing to block out. That becomes part of like it's always been part of my working routine, but it becomes
Yeah, like
more part
you're
of
always like blocking out like Oakland and Arrow's random dance parties downstairs.
Yeah, like,
you know, like
well, not just that, but when I work, like I'll have something going in my headphones too.
Yeah.
So I'm usually tuning multiple things out so I can get to focus. It's just the way my brain works. And so to like have one of those things that I normally would tune out not be there, it almost works in reverse. Like
Yeah.
not having
It tanks your productivity.
makes me not be able to focus, and then I just sit around bored all day.
it's like your reason for all of those productivity
I know.
things
I'm
are
just
taken
like,
away.
Sit around waiting for them to get home, I guess. Not getting anything done. All right, we'll do one more. I had two on here, but this one I think is the most interesting because it could relate to our kids. This person thinks that in the long term, the work from home movement will be disastrous for younger workers. And he gets that because he says younger workers need a lot of guidance and mentoring that you can't get by working remotely. Everything's too transparent, and sometimes you lose the ability to screw up without it being a management issue. So he's saying starting your working career working remote and never having the workplace experience is going to produce a batch of young workers that will be less productive. When you think about that for our kids, what do you think?
I think you've blown that assumption out of the water because you've worked remote for a lot of your life with your family. Like you know, which was like the beauty of how you grew up. You were able to kind of learn a lot about things that you were interested in that benefited your family. Like you were doing work under them. And so I guess maybe that's different because like you had your bosses there with you, but, I don't see that to be true in you at all. But say I didn't have that example. I can see the value in specific trades that would come from having a person that you're learning from. So I think it maybe would depend on your job, being able to learn from an expert. Like you would maybe need some like hands-on together, like face-to-face time, would maybe depend on your trade. But I think that there's an opportunity to kind of like go further and learn more and be more driven. And you're only, maybe stopped by your own drive almost, you know, like what your own, goals are or, you know, work ethic and those kinds of things. So
I learned one thing from working a quote unquote real job. And that is I don't want to work a quote unquote real job. That's the only thing that I learned there. I picked up nothing valuable from that experience. I was literally there to collect a paycheck.
You know what I think?
And I hated it.
Yeah. I think if we have more young men and women who grow up with the ability to work from home, I feel like we're going to have stronger families. You know, if you think about like back in simpler times when families were like working together for survival, you know, maybe, I don't know how simple it was, but anyways, just like this idea of like being together more. So I think that there could be strength from that.
Well, you're kind of talking a little bit about generational work from home. So instead of you having to go somewhere to get a education on the type of job you're going to be doing, maybe your dad is a work from home person and you learn that from him now, and you learn how to work from home and you learn your work ethic from your parents, and then you just become a remote worker. Also, I would say, I think part of the problem with this question is it's assuming that people are going to enter the workforce completely naive.
Yeah.
When I feel like we should, especially with our young men, we should be getting them like in a role that they have responsibility and ownership of really early.
Yeah.
You know, we're already starting to do some of that with our 10-year-olds, just kind of like getting
kids
them
need
introduced.
Responsibility like earlier on. Like they need to learn how to, and you know, maybe there's some like lower level skills in people's jobs that can be beneficial for sure for kids, like learning how to work. But I think just responsibility, giving kids responsibility and expecting them to meet, and then having requirements, like different things that they have to shoulder and figure out and work through, starting that early, you know?
And when our boys are like 16, I have no problem with them picking up a summer job at Chick-fil-A to
Right.
learn people skills and how to report to a boss. And I think those are some valuable skills that they can learn.
But they're
I'm
not
going to encourage
necessary.
them to have a career outside of the home if they don't want to have one. Just because you can go work elsewhere and doesn't mean you have to, right? Like, I want to teach them the ability to be able to be an effective remote worker so that becomes an option for them.
Yeah.
A lot of times we talk about freedom being options available to you, and I want my kids to be as free as possible. So if they choose to go down a career path where remote working is either not an option or it's not the best option, well, they're free to do that. But if they choose an option where they can model kind of what we're modeling for them of being able to spend more time with your family and also learning like the self-discipline that it takes to be able to be an effective worker when you don't have someone over your shoulder all the time micromanaging you. You know, you get done what you say you're going to get done. Like those are
actually
really valuable life
Those
skills.
are some things that you can learn through homeschooling too, actually, because you should take the responsibility for your schoolwork earlier than college. Like with most kids, like they get to college and then a lot of times that's when that responsibility hits their shoulders of like they're really responsible for making sure their education continues to happen. And homeschooling, my goal is to give that to them sooner.
Yeah, so work from home may not be for everybody, but I think these particular problems that people are foreseeing, they might be true for somebody who is brand new to it or isn't used to it yet. But for our family, it's been one of the biggest blessings. God has been really good to us to allow us to continue to do that, even though there's been seasons when I have to pick up, you know, some DoorDash, some Amazon Flex, some things like that to supplement. You know, there's been seasons like that. But other than that, we've always been able to keep that commitment that I made 10 years ago when our twins were born, that as long as I could put food on the table, I was going to stay home and be here as much as possible. And as much as possible, we've done that. And I think that has been a huge blessing to our family. And I'm confident that other families who step into that with the same heart, the same commitment, determination to be like, hey, I just want to be there for my kids. I'm confident that you can make it work too, you know, and you don't have to, but I'm just telling you, it's been a huge blessing for us,
Big blessing,
and we've made it work. And I wouldn't change anything about it. So till next time, when we get to see you next week, hope you've enjoyed and you felt welcome here in our home. We'll see you next time.